Good morning, everybody. I hope this Friday's going well. I guess it's always a good day if you can get up and listen to a YouTube show. Um, it's we're starting a cool spell here as far as temperatures go. It's only 72 here today, and it's supposed to get up to 88. And by next week, the low's supposed to be down 56, and the highs are supposed to be like 88. So I hope that doesn't mean that we have to get the sweaters out soon. Todd, if you happen to be listening, today the temperature at home is 76 degrees, and it's supposed to be 105 today. And your high where you're at's probably going to be in the 70s. That's just too hot. And for those that keep up with it, since Todd's not here, silver is running about $23.24 an ounce, and gold is running at $1,938 an ounce. Both of them are down from yesterday, but that's also first thing in the morning, so I guess it'll go up. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see what else. So I think it's supposed to be temperature is supposed to be kind of good during the weekend, so it's good for yard selling and whatnot. Good morning, Tara.
Hi, I'll give you somebody to talk at.
Thank you. Yeah, I know you missed Todd lag, but thanks for coming in. How are you this morning, Tara?
I'm pretty good.
Good. Um, our mail didn't run yesterday till between 8 and 10 last night, and the reason I say between then because I checked it about 8 o'clock because my flag was still up, and I went back out at around 9:57, and they had picked up the mail and left mail. I mean, good Lord, people. Uh, Good morning, Mr. Sadie. Good morning, David.
I'm
Uh,
with Todd.
I know they're I know they're having a shortage of staff because when
I'll
we were
handle
getting our
that.
passport, the person we spoke with at the post office over in Marion, North Carolina, uh,
On
he
that.
was like, they just can't keep people.
Oh,
And I was just reading an article, and the postal service is short a lot of people, and
really?
it was
I
talking.
didn't.
They were talking about uh, people come in and they train them. Apparently, they don't have the funding and the training to people to really train these people. They come in and they work, and then they quit.
Hmm.
Now, some of them have worked like 14 days straight with no with no days off. But I think people go in there and they think that it's not hard work, but it's hard work.
Well, I'm sure if you're in the back, where they sort mail and stuff, you are on your feet a lot and that.
It's but the gentleman we spoke to at the post office said that you know they have plenty in the store in the office, but like the carriers and whatnot, they're so
Oh, it'd be
short
like
of.
a rural mail carrier that
Yeah.
goes out and delivers. Yeah, that.
So it's it comes back to the point. We don't get mail every day, and most of the time when we do get mail, it's junk mail.
Yeah, us too. Mm.
And so, maybe they need to start rethinking their business model. Maybe go to Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays and call it a day. Charge more for this bulk crap. Because
Oh god, don't have another postal increase in there, Todd. I don't want you running the post office.
me, I'm not raising it. I'm talking about getting
Oh,
rid of some of the expenses.
oh, okay.
And I'm talking about raising the rate on junk mail. They don't pay nothing, and it costs a lot of money to deliver all that crap.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mike. Um, like I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday delivery. That's my thoughts. Because they've already screwed up one time. They spent millions fighting. I think it was Flying Tigers. Flying Tigers was the first overnight parcel carrier type organization, and USPS
Hey, Mike.
instead of looking at what was going on, they sued them for infringing on you know their postal business, and it went to court, and the judge said no, it's an entirely different process or a different type of service, and
Should make stamps $5.
it it's a case where they need to really look at where their business is going because people are just we don't get any bills in the mail. All ours are sent email, and all our bills are paid you know online. And who sends out Christmas cards, and who sends out, besides my mother, you know different kinds of all occasion cards. And if maybe it's time to start thinning back. If they can't get people to work, then thin it back. As I said, that's just my opinion, and I've got lots of them.
Well, it probably is a good place to work because you're like working for the government. It's hard to get fired from it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it just seems like they don't have enough. They're so short staffed that everybody's in a tailspin. I mean, like the person that delivered for us, picked up our mail last night. They probably finished running a route somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to be a route person.
Uh,
It looks
I
like
don't.
it'd be complicated.
Yeah, well,
I'd
mail
probably get
carrier we
lost.
had, she'd had this route forever, and she was
Yeah.
all you could tell when she was not. If she was on vacation, you could tell because our mail would be in our next door's mailbox, or it would be late coming in because they were using relief drivers.
Yeah, us too, Mr. Sadie. Most of it's junk mail. DirecTV. I'm not DirecTV. Dish Network. They always send you that thing to try to get you to hook on. Credit card offers. I mean, I must throw away 20 credit card offers a week. I swear to God.
And then our city is complaining about how much, they're not complaining, but they're not happy with all the amounts of garbage they have to deal with. And the USPS is just helping create the problem because of all this freaking junk mail. Because you know, the first of the year, you're going to get inundated with political mail, and you're going to get
Yeah.
a lot of it this year.
Honestly, we're in a gubernatorial. Our governor's election is in November, and I'm really surprised we haven't been getting many of the political mail for that. Usually they got those like postcards they're sending you.
Right. I mean, it's a case where there's going to be, we're just going to be covered up with it. they're going to, and it's going to be from everybody. It's not going to be just from what political party you're affiliated with, because they're going to be shotgunning it for anybody that they can hit that's not happy with with the people that's in current office.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Mr. Sadie, if it wasn't for the junk mail, we wouldn't get any meat at all.
Yeah. Us two just about.
Now that would require you to have to leave the basement, lag. Oh, lag is picking up Todd's mail while he's gone. Yeah, probably is. It's
Well, did you get the thing where they're gonna like instead of billing you for UPS and stuff? Well, I know Rockstar did a video on it. Now they're gonna, take it out right away, which I guess is kind of good. You won't have that, like Tuesday UPS bill anymore.
Yeah, I saw where they were talking about doing that.
Yeah, I think it starts this. Is it start in October or I don't know.
I don't remember, but
I don't
that's
remember.
good if they're taking all these fees out. If you're going through eBay to do your shipping, and they're taking all these fees out, then what you end up with, except for your store fee, um, it's pretty much your profit
Yeah,
before you pay taxes.
yeah.
So it's not a bad thing, I guess. Do you So what y'all got going on up there today?
Mm, nothing super exciting. I mean, I'm gonna do some listing right now, and Brandon gets off of school at 1 o'clock, and I gotta go over to that horse farm this afternoon, and that's about it.
Are they having early dismissal today, or
They always every Friday they have half day.
oh,
Yeah, that's how it is down here. I wish I'd have had that. We didn't have that in Wisconsin, but down here on Friday they're done at 1. It's been like
why
that since we moved here.
did they do that?
I don't know. It's the way they do it here.
Just do
Half
it
day
there.
Friday. I don't know. It's been like that since I've lived the whole time I've lived here, and he's been in this school district. They only go to school till 1 o'clock on Friday. I mean,
My,
and we're gonna be coming up on fall break here next month, so he's gonna have a week off for in October, which we never had that in Wisconsin. And then he's gonna have off at Thanksgiving. Actually, they're pretty good about getting time off in that.
well, back in the dark ages when we had to ride the dinosaurs to school. We didn't start school till the day after Labor Day,
That's how it is in Wisconsin. Right
and then
now, like the old school district he was in, they start the day after Labor Day.
and then
Now,
we
when
had
I was a kid, when I was young, I went to school around Milwaukee. We would start like let's say the 25th of I guess if you in that week before Labor Day.
right.
He in Eagle River, he started the day after Labor Day. Here, he started. It's been floating around for the start date, but this year I think they started on the 16th. But he's done with school like the 25th of May, I think, where
Yeah.
like Eagle River, the earliest you'd get done with school is 6. Then with snow days, I saw it go as far as like the 12th to the 14th.
Um. Say we had we started back Labor Day. Then we had Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off for Thanksgiving. And then just depending how it went, it was like from the 18th to the 2nd, or 18th to the 1st of January, uh, we had for the Christmas holidays and New Year's holidays. and then we had a few days off in the spring, and that was it. And then we were out like the middle of May.
Yeah, I mean, he can't complain because they have plenty of time off here.
Yeah. Well, they've like in Mecklenburg County School District, they've got to have so many days off, and they build in days for snow days and 5 days to Vegas, Mr. Sadie. Um,
Well, he's gonna be
it's
hitting those poker tables hard.
yeah. Um, they have so many days. They have so many snow days built in, but they don't end school. Like if they end school, we don't use any snow days or bad weather days. They still end up like if they're supposed to go 180 days, they'll go 188 days
Yeah.
instead of like tell the teachers when they start the fall semester or the spring semester, we're adjusting the schedule because we didn't use any snow days. Because it's not like they're getting anything accomplished anyway, apparently, from the kind of reports I've seen out lately about
Oh boy.
kids can't read and whatnot. I just,
I can't really. This school district that Brandon's in, I can't really complain about it. I mean, he's doing good in it. I mean, actually, it's a pretty good school district.
Teacher union's the biggest, strongest union in the United States. I'll be careful what you say about them.
well, Jim, we just, North Carolina's got school vouchers now, and our governor declared a state of emergency.
Over the school vouchers?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, they passed school vouchers in North Carolina, and he just declared a state of emergency.
Hmm. What's
Uh,
why? Why? What's his justification for the emergency?
because it's going to it's going to destroy the school systems,
Oh, okay.
and it's
Well, it
only
has
going
in
to leave
every
It's
state
going to
where it
only
ever
leave.
had them.
This is what I'm offended for, and I'm not a minority. Um,
Every state
it,
where they implemented it actually did end education in that state. Oh wait, that didn't happen in any state that they've ever put it in.
yeah, because there's a lot of people that will not make the effort.
Right.
Will not make the effort to take their kids to a private school. And of course, there's still money that has to be paid. It's out
If
of
you
pocket.
if you didn't have Samsung or Blue or any of those companies, other companies who are making cell phones, if those companies didn't exist and all you could do is buy an Apple phone, you'd still be making calls on the Apple One or whatever, that
Right.
either the Generation One iPhone, because why would they make a better one? Because there's no competition. It's this. If you don't like it, you just don't make phone calls. You know what I mean? I mean, it's you got to have competition to make things better,
Yeah.
and that's just the way life is. That's how you get to be king of the or leader of the cavemen or cave people group or whatever. Is you kill the biggest bison, or you give something to the tribe that the other members can't, or whatever. That's how humanity advances. You can't. I mean, giving somebody a monopoly is never a good idea.
Yeah, and I understand. Now there needs to be watchdogs on this thing because I'm sure if you're going to get a $5,000 voucher, which does not pay for private school. But
Yeah.
if you get a $5,000 voucher, that's going to help some people that might, that $5,000 might cause them to put their child in a good private school. But these schools need to be watched to make sure that they don't jack up their tuition just because people can use school vouchers now. You know, I think that has to be watched to make sure they don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But
Well,
I mean, because you always, like I say, it's competition doesn't drive the prices up. Competition usually drives prices down because they got people have choices. So it's like, well, I'm just going to raise the price of whatever I want. Oh, they just go across the street. They'll just vote for their with their feet. They'll go to a different school.
yeah. Well, it's our governor was talking about, it's going to leave all the minority school kids in schools. And this one African American lady, she had an article in the Observer, and she said that because of the vouchers and because she qualifies for it, she was looking at a good private school for their
Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
and
What?
or a good charter school, and she was willing to make the effort and pay the difference. And she was offended by the fact that this governor that she said that she had helped vote in, is saying that it's all going to be minorities left in the school district. All the white folk will get out.
You mean so you're saying people of color, black people specifically, are just like regular people? That they're not some kind of like different person that wants to send their kid to a crappy school? That they might want to send their kid to a good school too? Wow. Wow, wow! I bet you that's a big wake up for the governor that black people are just as good as white people. What a shocker for him!
Mikey.
No offense to your governor, but he's an idiot.
Well, he is.
Is this
He is.
guy communist or is he just Democrat?
He's just a Democrat.
Oh, okay, just wondering. Just honest question.
So it's been actually the school vouchers have kind of dropped off the main playlist as far as the media around here goes, because I think some of his comments came back to bite him on the butt, which he's on his way out. He can't run for re-election. So just like
Oh, is he up? No.
yeah,
But
Mr.
how is a
Trump,
little boy?
If Mr. Trump gets back in for 4 more years, it's going to be all hell. Because what are you going to do? Not vote him back in again? He can't get voted back in. So,
Well, he needs to think about Trump now. He needs to pick a good vice president.
yeah. So it's a case where people will show effort. Like if you want to go to Harvard, apply. If you got good grades, really good
Well, I don't think they
grades.
do a voucher system for college.
No, but Harvard has like $1 billion scholarship fund that they have to get rid of so much every year. And we went to a presentation one time back when our boys were getting ready to graduate from high school, and the
Oh, but
woman,
wasn't Harvard one of those schools that they weren't letting Asian people in?
I
They
don't
just
know.
won. Harvard just won a distinct award. They ranked zero being the worst and 100 being the best for um, respecting the right to free speech.
Oh,
They came in dead zero, the lowest rating they could be given by this group that evaluates schools on their allowing free speech on campus, and they came in dead last. So it's the most restrictive thought and speech school that they rated.
but if you got a kid that's really
I don't know
good,
who it was. I mean, if you could find it, if you Google it, because the report, it came out like yesterday or the day before, so it's not old news.
if you got a kid that's really smart and according to this person that was doing the presentation, the lady, she asked how many people their children were applying to Harvard, and of course everybody's laughing, or Harvard and Yale and whatnot. And we were kind of like laughing, giggling, yeah, right, that kind of stuff. She said, "Here's the deal with that. They have this big scholarship fund that they have to spend so much out of every year." and they will give, like, she had one person that was getting a full ride because he had really good grades, and he showed that, it was just financially out of his reach.
Yeah.
But because they have kids apply all the time that their dad can write $100,000 check for that first year of school, and not think anything about it. But they're stupid as a box of bricks. So they've got to
Yeah,
have
I think didn't
they.
Hunter Biden go to Harvard or he go to Yale?
I don't know.
He went to one of them. They did that.
I think the Bushes went to Yale.
Yeah, the
No, but
Bushes were
but he went
Yalers.
to. I think he went to Harvard or Yale too.
I think it was Harvard. I don't think him and Bush went to the same school.
It's
And I'm pretty sure Bush is a Yale man.
yeah, he was Yale. But it's a case of they need these smart kids to make, because who's going to go to a university? Who's going to pay the kind of money that it costs to go to Harvard and Yale if their rating is so low because they've got all these stupid kids up there, these rich stupid kids. So there's Mr. Sadie with all those granddaughters. If you've got one that's really smart or several of them, tell them to apply to Harvard. Tell them they don't have any money. Or anybody else's kids. Lag, you got any kids that's old enough to go to college yet?
Trump ain't gonna go to jail.
No.
They'll probably convict him in the lower
Well,
court.
he'll be convicted.
He'll get convicted, and then it'll get appealed, and it's going to get thrown in an appellate court, or it's going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, because when it hits the appellate court's going to find, well, you have to have actually committed a crime. See, there's a rub. There was no crime committed, so, but he will get it. You already have it's like 60 or 70% in that county said that they would convict him based on what they know. So I mean, yeah, there's no chance he's not getting convicted in Georgia.
Yeah. It's a case where. Oh, did you see where Giggles said she's ready to step up to
I think that's who they're going to try to put in. She'll be
the
your first black
presidency?
woman president.
But she made it. She was talking to the media somewhere, and she said that she was prepared to step up to the presidency.
I'm not sure. In a way, I'm not sure that they wouldn't like to put somebody else in besides Biden.
Yeah, but they can't take the chance. I mean, they can't take the chance of having Giggles as president because they know that she'll lose in the next election.
No, against Trump, I'm not so sure.
You talking about Giggles?
I mean, Biden, Trump's a shoo-in, but with the, I mean, because the problem is she can talk. I mean, she don't have to be very smart. I mean, if they really,
I didn't disagree with her, but she can speak.
Yeah,
I mean, she might talk goofy, but she can speak, and you probably could. It will help probably pull like like the Democratic woman vote. I hope that they run Biden because I think you might have people just won't show up.
They'll coach her. They'll get a teach her how to act or whatever, get her straightened out for public appearance or whatever. And I think they're going to run her. I think she's going.
I hope they don't run her.
I hope it don't. I
hope they run Biden.
I think that's their best chance to win.
I hope they run Biden and hope that they win, and then they'll have him retire and then put her in the spot.
She's a black woman, which is going to put her way ahead. I mean, that's going to give her an extra 50 points before she takes the test. Yeah, she could do it. And I'm a Republican saying that.
Here's what I think. They're going to put a disposable candidate up there.
Named Joe Biden.
Yeah, because and then when the Republican takes the office, whoever it is, they're going to be betting on the fact that they can't fix all the problems that we have.
Well, Trump's going to be the candidate. He's way ahead of the rest of the field.
So then they can come back in 4 years and say, "See, it wasn't the president. It was the economy and the world as a."
Yeah, except we had a good economy, and then they crashed it. The government shut everything down during COVID, and They crashed it. The government did all this.
Yeah, and the Democrat playbook's one page.
And remember when they shut it down? It was because we're going to have 1 million people die, and 1 million people died anyway. I mean, I feel sorry for anybody that died. We knew people that died, but you still killed 1 million people anyway.
Yeah, basically that stuff did nothing. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a playbook's one page, and on that page it just says the word "win." So I mean, yeah, I don't think you're going to get the Democrats are going to be some complex plan. Well, we'll give up this election so we can win later. No, they want to win right now.
But I don't think they can. I think they learned during from Hillary that women will not vote for somebody just because it's a woman.
Sure, maybe. I
Because the
do think
consensus
you
was
have.
from Hillary. The consensus was Hillary was they didn't trust her. My
I
mom
think you
didn't trust
have
her.
a
My mother-in-law
polarized
didn't trust
thing,
her.
and I like Trump. I think you have a polarized thing that if you don't like Trump, you ain't gonna vote for Trump.
Yeah. So it's
But I
going to
think
be.
the problem is, like, I have a friend who is a Democrat, and she's like, "Well, I don't want to vote for either of them. I don't really like either of them." You might have somebody like that. You have Joe Biden as the other candidate. Maybe they'd just be disheartened and not show up and vote. I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never not voted in a presidential election, even if I wasn't excited about the candidate.
Good morning, Mr. Felix. Good morning, Texas. Didn't see you come in. Sorry. Yeah, but Harvard looks good on the CV, Mr. Sadie. They can get them a good government job.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Hillary if she wasn't so crooked and conniving, she might have been, and so over the top liberal, she might have been a good president because the
She'd be better
president of
than
our
Joe Biden.
the president of
If
our
I had to pick between her and Joe Biden, to tell you the truth, I'd pick her. If that was my only choice, is Hillary or Joe Biden.
yeah, uh, that little fat bastard over in North Korea, he would have already gotten depressed one night. And they'd have found him with a 38 laying in bed with him. I mean, she could be such a bitch. She probably would dispatch a team to take care of that sucker. Um, but it's just all the other little nuances that she had that just didn't sit good with people. And besides, she's already been president for 8 years. She doesn't need to be it again.
Hillary's associated with losing. They're not going to do Hillary again.
No, yeah,
because that is, I mean, even to their own group, there's no like love or loyalty or anything. It's win. You gotta. It's like football. You gotta win on that. If you're gonna play for that team, Democrat, you gotta win. It ain't. You're gonna do this. You're gonna change the world. You're gonna feed the poor. It's gonna be world peace. You're gonna get ice cubes to baby polar bears. They don't care about none of that stuff. You got to get the W.
ice cubes to both. You need to start a foundation for that.
I stole that from Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, did you? Well, you need to start a icebergs for polar bears foundation, so y'all can sit back there and make several $100,000 or millions of dollars a year.
It was some gag. Remember, you used to run those gag ads or whatever. It was something. It was some foundation that was sending ice cubes to disadvantaged polar bears in the Arctic Circle or whatever.
Let's see, Texas Bandit. I think it was. Who was it? Says you needed a bazillion bucks to live on Madison Avenue. I was watching a YouTube video, and of course, everything on YouTube's true. And they were talking about like there's 13,000 apartments in New York that are vacant.
Oh, really?
And the reason being is that they have rent caps on all these, on all these apartments, and investors are not spending the millions of dollars to repair these apartments that are vacant, to upgrade them, because they can only go up like $83 a month. I mean, $83, yeah, $83 a month.
Mm.
So, you know, if it costs them several $100,000 to renovate one of these apartments, it'll take them 30 years to recoup the investment that they've had to redo the apartments. And
Yeah.
like half of those, wait a minute, half of those are owned by the city of New York
Oh,
because
really?
they don't have the funding to renovate them. So
Huh.
I was surprised when they were talking. I knew there was a lot of people moving out of New York. I know there's a lot of people they're moving their businesses out of New York. Um,
Well, if you can make money living in New York, it's probably worth it. If you're that kind of like if you're in the financial district or something where you make money. But I would, but I'm like simple hillbilly girl. I wouldn't want to live in New York. That's not for me.
you know, if I was as rich as if I was rich as Todd is, you know, I might have an apartment up there just so we can go up there for the weekend and go to a play and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
to work and live up there, I mean, I've had friends that lived up there,
I mean, I think at
and
one time my
they were
mom
ready to get
probably
out
wanted to
of
live
it.
there.
Where?
New York. My mom would
Oh.
go to New York like twice a month. I mean, they would do this thing, and this was like the 60s and 70s. They'd fly in out of Milwaukee, and they'd go spend like a long weekend in New York, and then fly back when airfare was pretty cheap in that.
I'll be
Right.
going to hell after I'm dead. I don't need to be going there now. But anyway, when you're talking about those rent caps, government interfering, I understand always, oh, this will work great, keep the rent at one price. But yeah, there are problems with that. Anytime the government starts to interfere with pricing, I would argue, including when there's a natural disaster. When they say, oh, you can't charge, $50 or $100 for a sheet of plywood because that's price gouging. Heaven forbid we have price gouging during disaster, right? Who would
Right.
disagree with price gouging or that price gouging is bad? I disagree with price gouging being bad. And the reason I say that is if I need that sheet of plywood really bad, I can go to the store and say, yeah, I'll pay you the damn $100 for it or $1,000 for 10 sheets I need and be pissed about it. But I can, if I really need those sheets of plywood, I can still buy them. The problem is when the government says you can't charge anything more than a base price for plywood when this disaster comes in, what happens? People come in buying twice as much damn plywood as they need, or 3 times as much plywood as they need. So when I get to the hardware store, it don't matter if I have $1 million flipping dollars. I can't buy a piece of plywood because the government has now interfered with the market and made them hold the price down to below what the stuff was worth, and people just bought it all up. So that means during the disaster, half of the damn houses ain't going to be able to get any plywood for their windows. Happens every damn time. That's why that price gouging stuff just drives me nuts.
It's we've Lee is headed towards the East Coast, and they're saying it's going to divert north of. I mean, head north before it gets to us, and really get close to the coast. Further up in the north. But people are already buying gallons of water, and
Mm.
they're prepping for it around here in case because case to point, Hugo was not supposed to visit Charlotte, and he
We
visited
got
Charlotte.
we got the last. What was that last hurricane that just was in Florida? Was Iola? Was that the one? Anyway, they have. It's in the news. They've had there's these flamingos that are up here in Kentucky that they figure got displaced by the hurricane.
Are you there?
Yeah, are you there?
Okay, it sounded like you got cut off there all of a sudden. So
Oh, did
they're
you hear
saying
me at all?
the flamingos that are in
Kentucky,
Kentucky.
they got displaced by that last hurricane in Florida, Iola. So they have all these sightings, and I guess they're sighting them as far north as Ohio. They figure they'll migrate back south, but they got displaced by that hurricane. So there's like some of these Kentucky lakes where you got flamingos are walking around in them right now. I
Um,
think it's more over by Lake Cumberland. If it was
right.
closer, I'd go look at them just to say, oh, I saw flamingos in Kentucky.
Well, don't tell Brandon about them.
Why? He'll kill
The
him.
trophy hunter?
Trophy hunter.
You talking about your son?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow. Do you see what
Yeah,
Night Nurse
Marlon
says?
Perkins, he ain't.
Night Nurse says that the day
He's
that
more like
Trump goes to jail is the day that he wins another 4 years in a landslide.
honestly here, and I noticed this because like when we drive our kid to school at 8 o'clock on the
Oh,
radio
yeah, the
station, you
news.
have the ABC like radio news comes in with the highlights. Now, for the last 8 months, the lead story would always be, Trump's indicted, Trump
We
this,
laugh
Trump
because,
that. It'd be like, what's the Trump story? For the last week, they've not let off with a Trump story. And I'm like, and Jim, what did you say? You're like, maybe they're hammering it too much. It's
well, no, they figured out what it's doing. It's that they're
they're
finally,
turning him into a
they're like,
martyr.
yeah, dude, it's having the opposite effect. But they always like the lead-in music, da 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 da, or whatever for ABC News. We laugh because we're like, oh, what did Trump do now? They're starting to dawn on them. Hey, maybe we're having the opposite effect. Maybe we're turning this kid into like the kid that everybody's beating up for their lunch
Yeah.
money, or people are finally like, hey, you know what? You guys are being jerks for the fun of it.
Oh, wow, look at this shirt. Look how
How
purple it
how
looks in the
how
photo.
old are
If Trump
you?
did something really bad, like something really bad, I think he should be tried and convicted. But I mean, when you're coming at him with just obviously BS charges, which nobody would get in trouble for, I hate to say it like the gun charge with Hunter. I understand it's political. They're going to try to get it. They're going to get him on this minor charge, and they're going to try to forget about the influence peddling or whatever, because no politician wants that to go on. Because
Even a Republicans.
right, you think Joe Biden's the only one using a bagman for his money? Why do you think we give foreign aid to all these countries? Because it goes back into a politician's pocket, at least a portion of it. I mean, that's how these politicians make their. That's how they go in. A person who lives in $100,000 house, and they leave with their net worth is 25 million bucks. That something happened while they were in office, and a lot of it involves foreign aid. So you got that stuff with Hunter, but instead they go at him with this gun charge, which is bullshit. I mean, let's face it. That's the kind of thing. Okay, you lied about using drugs when you bought the gun. They're going to give you a slap on the wrist. They're not, and then you threw the
Right.
gun away. You never committed a crime with it. In the real world, they don't have time to do something about that. I mean, it's a do nothing thing. But that's exactly the same kind of crap that they're going after Trump. And you may hate Trump, and you think this is great because you hates Trump. I get that, but I mean, honestly, when you look in the mirror and say, "Yeah, Trump really did some bad illegal stuff," you're lying to yourself.
Well, they try to say he's overturned an election.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's the same thing Al Gore did. Remember all the stuff in Florida?
No, attempted to. There was no overturning the election. The election was never overturned. Biden was called the winner, and he won the election. He's the president right now. There's no harm, and it should be no foul.
Yeah.
And also, whatever. I mean, I don't have to defend the guy because he didn't. There's nothing to defend. He didn't do anything wrong. He thought there was cheating. There was vast evidence there was cheating. That it wasn't found that there was no cheating. What was found was that none of the courts want to mess with it because the people who had the most to lose if this election was investigated was the winners, Republicans and Democrats. So if the Republicans who won aren't going to say, "Oh, we better look into this election," yeah, maybe I got elected on the wrong, on a biased or a rigged election. They risk losing their seat. So they're not gonna. All the winners said bullshit. I won. That's it. Move on.
Yeah.
And the reason they're hitting these people so hard is the January Sixers and stuff. The reason they're hitting these people so hard is they never again want anybody to question the results of a rigged election because they do. Let's face it. They cheat every election. I'm not saying it's just maybe Republicans cheat too, but to go around saying, "Oh, there's no cheating in elections in the United States," you got to be kidding me. There has never been an election in the United States where there wasn't cheating, whether it was like a national election. Ever.
Okay, hold on just a minute, Mr. Felix. What is LSE? And the days of coming out of college and making $120,000 are long gone. As a undergraduate, what is LSE? Because that's what he said. LSE.
London School of Economics.
Is that what?
London School of Economics.
Okay. That's one of those bullshit schools that people are coming out of all these universities with these degrees like that, and they're ending up waiting tables because nobody's hiring them now. Maybe back in then it was prestigious, but I mean, really, I mean, we're overrun. We're overrun with college graduates that can't find jobs, and yet you call and get your HVAC, try to get your HVAC serviced, and um, it takes several days because they're understaffed and they're working 24 hours a day. Yeah, well, maybe that's the reason we're in kind of in the shape that the world is in right now, Mr. Felix. LS, no baseball. Nobody said LSD. He said LSE. Uh, until I really looked at it, I thought you said LSU, and I thought you were another Louisiana
I don't
State
know. I'll look at
person.
it.
Um, you know, that's the reason people are going. People are saying, maybe you need to think, and the universities don't want to hear about it because some people are going to lose their jobs. Is that we need more people that can actually do something, like HVAC and repairing cars and building houses and
Well, I do
plumbers.
think when you go to college, you have to have a bit of a plan on what the end game is when you come out of college.
You ain't gonna have.
College, you don't go and say, "Well, I'm going for higher learning," but not exactly know where you're, not have at least an idea what direction you're going to go in.
Oh, that's LSD is a master's program. uh,
You're gonna need bus mechanics though. Don't worry about individual cars because those won't exist.
you better be you're going to have to end up with the people that can work on electric cars is what you need to do.
There ain't gonna be no electric cars, Tom.
Are
That's a
you kidding?
ruse. I mean, they're telling you that.
Everybody is discontinuing their um, internal combustion engine operated vehicles.
A power plant, or most power plants, not hydroelectric, but they're getting rid of those because they mess up the little snail darters' mating habits. They're
Right.
getting rid of hydroelectric power plants. So it's all going to be, and they have to have power plants on the grid. It's going to be carbon-based, carbon emission power plants are generating the electricity for these cars unless we go nuke, and everybody hates nuke. The only places electricity works is countries where they go nuke, and I don't see the U.S. going back to nuke. So what you're going to have is electric cars are polluting the environment. Your asses are. I'm just saying that's what you're really headed for. Electric cars are not a substitute. They're still leaving a carbon footprint. They're gonna try to minimize the amount
Yeah, you'll be on public
of fuel
transport.
use by everybody being on public
Yeah,
transportation.
you'll be like
They're gonna
on
make it harder and
trains
harder for
and
an individual
buses
car.
or whatever.
I probably won't live to see it, but a lot of you kids will.
No, I probably won't live to see it either.
And see, that's I don't understand. And I am not anti-union. Okay, unions served a purpose, especially in the South, where greedy people, were taking advantage of hardworking people. But I don't understand how unions can support a president, a party that's trying to get rid of their jobs. The automotive people, or the divisions that make the engines that go in cars, how they can be
Well, I suppose
supported.
they figure they're going to switch to just building electric vehicles, I guess. I mean, because like Ford, okay, I don't work on the gas cars anymore. I'll just build the electric cars. I'm on the assembly
You're
line.
never going to see a significant transition to electric cars. It just ain't going to happen.
I don't think so either. You know,
One thing is,
I think what is going to happen is it's going to go back to the days of, like, in Rock Hill, where I grew up at, they had Anderson Motor Company. They built cars that were just like the T model. Um, I think it's going to go back to a lot of small, independent car manufacturers because the technology is here now. That it wasn't like it was back in those days where everything was an effort to make the chassis and the steel and everything. So, like I said, I don't. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what group it is, whether it's automotive or coal or whatever. When the organization that you're involved in, when they start trying to cut out your livelihood, then that's just not too smart
Well,
on my.
that's why Manchin is like separating himself so much from this administration. I mean, he's from coal. He's at West Virginia, is coal company. I mean, those poor people, they're losing their jobs out there.
Because we have a nuclear power plant. Matter of fact, I probably can walk outside and see the steam coming off of it now. But we also had a coal-fired plant on the Catawba River, and they kept on until they had to shut it down, and it's totally gone now because of them using coal and pollution and blah blah, all that kind of stuff. When it comes down to push come to shove, people are not going to get rid of stuff. They're not going to turn on. They're not going to get rid of all these electronics in their house because everything's great browning out. It will become a mandatory brownout. They will shut your power off or whatnot. People want to get in the car. They want to get in the car and they want to drive 2 hours, 3 hours to the mountains, or they want to drive 3 hours to the beach from here. They want to be able to do it. And when you start telling them they can't do it because they're making regulations that eliminate these things.
Well, they always start small, but then as it, it builds on regulations, pretty soon you're just going to lose the ability to do that stuff.
It's like wild animals running around. When you first pen them up, you got to wrangle them and pen them up and stuff. But once they're in the pen, those animals ain't gonna do squat. They're just gonna do what you tell them.
Yeah.
You got to build a good fence and not give the animals any way to defend themselves.
I mean,
And they'll snap into
honestly, if you
line.
look back, I mean, during COVID, during the COVID restrictions, did you ever think that people would tolerate, having businesses shut down and that? And I guess you gave them a little bit of money or whatever. But did you ever think that would be tolerated as long as it was? I mean, honestly, it kind of amazed me it that they got it to last that long.
Well, we're supposed to
I
go
mean,
on.
it was kind of, if you look at it, was like an exercise in how to control society.
Yeah. We're going on a cruise in December, and Carnival has already said that they're not changing. If you've been vaccinated, it'd be good to have your, vaccination cards with you. But they're not doing testing as of
Mm.
now. They're not doing testing or any of that kind of stuff. It's business as usual. No mask mandates and whatnot. So,
Yeah, but it amazes me the first time 3 years ago, and
yeah.
honestly, I mean, and like you have it where you shut down churches and stuff, but you can still go in Walmart. I mean, does that make sense? Or you had like some smaller places like restaurants or smaller stores, you could shut them down, but we can all still wander around Walmart.
Well, for a while there, Walmart had sections blocked off. You could
Not here.
Not
you could
here.
you could go buy food and like paper products, but you couldn't go over and shop for clothes or the toy
Ours
section
didn't do
or
All
any of
that.
right.
that kind of
What
stuff.
the? I mean, other than virtue signaling, what the hell sense does that make? You're already in the damn store. You're already contacting everybody in the store. What the hell sense does it make if you buy a pair of underwear
Yeah,
or
I
you
can't go buy
buy
you can buy
those
toilet
things?
paper, but you can't buy new underwear. I mean, you're already in the frickin' store.
Well,
But it's like, I mean, when you come up with the things that don't make any sense, I mean, that's where you have problems where people are like, they can't figure it out.
well, that's the problem. I mean, the point is that they wanted to get people in and out. Go in and get the hell
And
out.
but what does it matter if you're in there
They didn't want
3 minutes or 30 minutes? In theory, you've already brought, if you carry the disease in with you, you brought it in there already.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a bunch of BS in the first place because I was fully vaccinated and I had it 3 times.
If you look at the CDC website, the difference between you being vaccinated and unvaccinated was about 2%. You're about 2% more likely to get sick if you're not vaccinated at all. What the hell? If they'd have done that, if they made a polio vaccine like that, we'd still have people with polio all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get the polio vaccine, guess what happens? You don't get polio. You get the COVID vaccine, you get COVID, just
Yeah.
like as if you weren't vaccinated. And then the other thing is, remember they're telling you, oh, but if you got the vaccine, it'll be less severe. Guess what? There is no study on that. That was all that just somebody pulled that right out of their keister.
My
There's
third
no evidence
time,
of that. There's no study. Go on the CDC website.
my third time with COVID was the worst of the 3 times, and it took me forever to get rid of it. And my wife worries about me enough as it is. I'm sure she was worried about me, and I didn't say anything about it. But it took me forever to get over that. The third time,
I wouldn't know if I had it or not because I've never been tested for COVID. I mean, I remember when it first was starting to come out, me and Jim, we had all gotten real sick, and part of me wonders if it was it, but I mean, I've never been tested for it, and I wouldn't get tested, and I'm not taking a home test either.
Do you want a COVID test? No. Do you have any firearms in your house? No.
I was at the hospital and this nurse was like trying to make me take this COVID test. I'm like, no, why do I have to take COVID test? It is because they were confusing me with Jim's mom who was in there. Okay, you gotta give her a COVID test because she's looking for services. I'm like, I will walk out that door before I let you give me a COVID test.
She said, are you Mrs. Carey? And you said, yeah. She's okay. I have to give you a COVID test. You're like, you're not getting a test. She's like, I'm not even a patient. Well, you're here, and they said you got to get it tested or whatever.
I told her I'll walk out the door
because she didn't have a first name that just had Mrs. Carey on the thing, which I think is that's how you get the wrong leg amputation.
Yeah, I might have COVID right now, but I ain't taking no test.
When my dad was sick in the hospital back during the COVID thing, had nothing to do with COVID. They weren't going to let anybody up there. My dad was blind. My mom's like, I'm going up there to be with him because you people won't take care of him like he needs to be taken care of because you don't have enough staff you don't have enough staff, period.
Yeah.
And so I would have liked to see. My mom is a mild-mannered person until you piss her off, and then we refer to it as the $1,000 ticket. My dad got a speeding ticket one time, and he spent and this would have been like in the 80s, no, late 70s. He spent $1,000 fighting a speeding ticket, and he got off because they said he was doing 90 in a 55. And my dad's like, I might have been doing 65 in a 55, but I wasn't doing no 90. He had the radar records where the radar on that patrol car subpoenaed. He had statements from the manufacturer of the radar. Like I said, $1,000 just fighting that $100 ticket.
Well, sometimes you got to go with what if you're on the side of right, you got to go with it.
So a joke around our family is that sounds like $1,000 ticket to me, but it put a lot of people in hardships because of these rules. my daughter-in-law is a nurse, and she was just telling us a few days ago that they don't have enough staff.
Oh, really?
And, she's
Well, you did have a lot of with the mandatory vaccines. You did have a lot of healthcare people that walked off.
no, my son is, involved in healthcare too, but he's in a labs, so he doesn't have to deal with people. But I think some of the stuff that they do test for over there will kill you a lot faster than COVID will. But it's, they don't think about, and people go along with this stuff. Um, People go along with this stuff, and this is not a right, being on the right or the left, or Republican or Democrat or Independent. This is on the, what's best for you,
Yeah.
what's best for the person, and they really played. I think they really played the American. They played the world because there's a lot of countries. Oh, they died from COVID. Well, did they? Did they die from starvation instead? And you're just saying it's COVID, so you can get some funding from the big country.
Yeah.
Because there was some lawsuits going on. I don't know whatever happened to them in North Carolina. A woman was suing a nursing home because when their father died, and they said it was due to COVID related, you know, issues. And she said, she was like, first of all, I want to see where the COVID tests were, where the COVID tests. And he had one foot in the grave, and this is her exact words. My father had one foot in the grave when we brought him here because his health was so bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but like during that, if somebody died, if you could get on their thing that it was a COVID related death, so like when they went to the undertaker, the funeral homes were getting paid like $20,000, $30,000 more than what the standard funeral cost was, just because they were handling this like biohazardous diseased
Right.
body. So I'm not sure you didn't have like, you know, you could have like some corruption there between, because I'm going to tell you something, nursing home people are shady as shit. And I know this because Jim used to do CBRFs. They are the sketchiest ass people there are around. No offense if anybody's involved in the nursing home business, but the people that own those places are sketchy. Anyway, I mean, I could definitely see him, like, okay, yeah, Joe's funeral home, we'll, make sure it says COVID, and then give us a little this COVID body, they were paying him a lot more.
Um, do you remember? Do you remember the situation with in North Carolina? I mean South Carolina, where the guy was supposed to be having a crematorium, and he wasn't burning cremating the bodies. He was taking them out and burying them out in the backyard, or in the back of the behind their facility, and he was using like ashes out of grills and stuff like to fill the urns with. Well, they made an episode on what's Bobby on, honey? Criminal intent about that. South Carolina has helped the media quite a bit. The Peach down in Gaffney has been in so many different TV shows because it's caused car accidents and things like that. It's hilarious. So go ahead and start gathering up them horses because we'll probably need them horses before too much longer because you won't
I'll
be
be
able
able
to
to ride horses around.
get gasoline.
Well, I've got a lot of Amish people around here. I could probably get myself a good wagon and a horse and stuff like that. I don't know. They got pretty good hills coming in and out of my house, though. I don't know what that'd be like driving up and down a hill with a wagon on pavement. That sounds kind of scary to me.
See Jim on the buckboard going to the post office to
Yeah, I mean, I guess you should have good britchin straps so your cart don't roll into your horse's ass and you go flying.
uh, but yeah, Jim can take the buckboard to the post office to take all
I
your
had
mail.
honestly, I had one of those like Amish style. It wasn't like exactly like a buckboard, but it was kind. It didn't have the roof on, it, but it was a wagon. In fact, I sold it to some Amish guy. But dang it, maybe I sold it too soon. Maybe I'm gonna need that when we don't have gas
Yeah.
anymore.
You want to talk about people don't want to be inconvenienced with stuff today? That they like everything done, so it's super simple for them because they have so many important things that they got to do and they need to be taken care of because they earned it, they deserve it. Yeah, can you imagine them trying to hook up a horse, feeding a horse, trimming its freaking hooves, cleaning up its poop? I mean, yeah, you want to talk about work? Yeah.
Oh yeah, now we won't have gas anymore, so we'll have to like put up loose hay and stuff to feed the
Good
horse
lord.
with pitchforks and stuff.
But you know what? There probably won't be as many fat people on the world because everybody be pedaling
Because
a
that Amish
bicycle.
guy, I did ask
So
him.
we'll be eating them. They'll be turning them into Soylent Green.
Yeah.
I uh, I I asked that Amish guy. I'm like, because he said he's putting up hay. I go, so do you guys bale it or you put it up loose? He goes, oh, we put it up all loose. So that means they're out
Oh,
there with
good
the
God.
horse-drawn sickle mower, cutting it down, raking it, and then pitching it into
Well,
piles,
good
and
for
then
them. I mean,
shoveling it
but
up on hay
let me put
trailers
it this
loose.
way: there's a lot of things that you did. It's like, oh, that person makes so much money, but you gotta some of those things you put so much time in. You gotta love it, or else no one would work. You know, like 80 hours a week at this thing, but they do it because they love it. Horses, they gotta love horses because if you don't like horses, there's no freaking way you do it.
There's a
It's
guy
just
on
too much work.
there's a guy on YouTube that makes furniture, and his whole furniture manufacturing facility, which it's just him and like one of his children or grandchildren, is is powered by a water wheel. It
Hmm.
is like old school, belts everywhere, driving driving his machine, like his machinery, and a lot of like his drill presses are like you basically pedaling a bicycle, or like the sewing machines had the pedal on it. Um, and he gets a mint for it because it's all handmade, all hand laid. Everything is,
Hmm.
no
Sounds like.
machinery involved
Did you
in it.
ever watch Mountain Men? That Eustace guy that's in North Carolina, and he has that whole camp there, and he does
Oh,
everything with
crap,
horsepower and that.
Yeah, and he's always what's he always doing? Go to the courthouse trying to save him from getting foreclosed out for taxes. He's
But
always broke.
my mom and dad used to go up to Pennsylvania to the Amish area a lot. And actually, she makes the best chicken corn soup, which is an Amish recipe.
We
Um,
I mean, we got like Amish grocery stores here, and there's a really good like just a little bit south of me in Greensburg. It's like an Amish like deli and a little grocery store, and they sell like homemade pies and stuff like that. And actually, it's really good to go to it. I mean, I think the Amish are cool, and I'll go buy stuff from their stores and that, but I don't want to live like the Amish.
yeah,
I would say here though they're a lot more integrated in the community than like Wisconsin. Wisconsin, the Amish you'd only like see them. You'd see them once in a while on the road. But I mean,
Horse auctions, yeah,
here you
I'd
go to
see them.
Walmart, they're in the Walmart.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
know. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's Amish everywhere. It's
yeah,
like I mean, which is cool, but I like Wisconsin, they're much more like not with people who are not Amish.
yeah.
the but my mom and dad, they talked about those carriages they have up there, and my dad's like, these things are nice. I mean, they are, and they're all handmade. But she said they would say this these things are made nice. These are not like you see the buckboards on the
I
old westerns and stuff like that.
Yeah, depends what sect Amish they are, how like traditional they are. But anyway, because I go to these saddle bridge shows, okay, and you have a lot of they call them Yankover, where
Uh-huh.
they're Amish, but they're not like traditional Amish anymore. They're living more an English lifestyle, and
Right.
you have to me, I mean, and I never saw this before. You have all these Mennonites and Amish at these horse shows now, and that's what they're doing is they're showing saddlebreds, road horses, Dutch harness horses at these shows, and they're dealing them and stuff like that. But they're like actually showing horses, which I would think, well, I guess not everybody, but it'd be kind of against, a little bit because they're supposed to live a simple lifestyle, and not like show off and stuff. But
Right.
when I go to these horse shows, Illinois State Fair, Kentucky State Fair, all of them, they all have these Amish showing at them and stuff like that now.
It's
If you go on YouTube, like Pennsylvania, what did they call it? Amish country horses for sale. Their YouTube, it's all ads of these Amish people driving these horses that they got for sale. And I mean, they're not like go beat down the road horses. They are like you could go put them in a show ring horse.
it's been a long time ago, but Roberta and I and our friends Chris and Sandy, we went to a Mennonite farm. Yeah, I believe they were it was Mennonite. And
Yeah, Mennonite are like Amish, but they can drive a car.
yeah,
And I don't mean that like disrespectful, but I know that in Wisconsin, they're kind of very similar, but they can use more technology than like some of the sects of Amish can.
And sometimes they polish your buttons.
Anyway,
is that like a local joke there?
no, that's like Jim's joke from up north.
Did you there's a song called it's supposed to be like to the music of an American band. We're an American band. We're coming to your town to help you party down. Anyway, they have a song called "We're an Amish Band," and
Right.
he's something to him. He goes, "Oh, Sven, I noticed the knobs on your guitar are very shiny. You high polished them, but don't tell the person. Everything's supposed to be real subdued. Anyway, it's in that song.
Okay.
So if you look something up, if you want to go look up something, I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's called "We're an Amish Band."
I had a friend that was up at Morgan Horse Show, and they also have what they call the Superior Horse Auction. It's up in Indiana, and I watched a video of it yesterday. Some Amish guys had this Morgan stud, this Dragon Mead Sea Dragon, and I
Uh-huh.
think last year Amish boys driving it in the horse sold for $500,000 or just a hair over for this Morgan stud horse. I mean, $500,000, and it's just Amish boys working it. I mean, just Amish boys
Ever seen
driving
them
it and
Amish at the
working.
auction?
Yeah, I
They're
know
not
they do.
writing checks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
if you
true.
go to a lot of auctions where these Amish are there, yeah, they don't come up with a checkbook.
Yeah. Well,
But
that guy, I mean, you met that horseshoer guy that I sold that car to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very
But he took
simple
checks.
looking. But I mean, he just gave me boom, yeah, I'll buy it. Just didn't think twice about it. He decided buy it, he's gonna buy it. Money was no
Oh,
problem
did he
for
write
him.
you a checkbook? Oh, so he did write checks. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Mostly I see him pay cash. I want to see when the world goes to crap. I'm not saying it will, but if it does, I mean, for those folks, it's gonna be like, well, it's just another Wednesday.
Yeah.
Other than we're gonna
They'll be fine.
load up the
Make
shop.
friends with the Amish. They'll be all
Yeah,
right.
the only thing they're gonna have a problem with is like trespassers.
Yeah.
yeah.
Amish people
Talking
love
about
us.
I'm assuming you said they don't use checks. They just pull out a wad of
No, that I sold that.
But
I
yeah.
sold a horse-drawn sled and a. He wrote me out a check.
Yeah.
My dad did a surveying for this old guy down in the lower part of the state, and he surveyed it, and the old guy was doing estate planning, and this Susan gets this piece and all this kind of stuff, and it was several $1,000s. And so one of his daughters brought him to the office to pick up the survey plats, and pay his bill. And my dad handed him the bill, and the man looked at it, and then he just kind of like knelt down. And my dad thought, "Oh my God, the old man's is having a heart attack because of the bill." And he said the guy reached down into his boot and pulled out this big old wad of money and started peeling off $50 bills and paid my dad.
No.
And
that don't work in Kentucky.
And he was like, my dad was like, a check would have been fine. And his daughter said, he doesn't use checks. He uses cash. Every place he goes, he uses cash.
I don't know, but I've seen a couple of Russ in Kentucky. the first thing they make them do is get on the ground, pull their boot off, and they check their boots.
What are you talking about?
In Kentucky,
For what?
when they arrest people,
Oh,
they make them complete.
they're probably looking for drugs.
Yeah, well, whatever, but you ain't gonna hide nothing in your boots in Kentucky because it's the first place. If you're coming to Kentucky, don't hide anything in your boots because it's the first place a trooper looks.
I was talking to my mom yesterday, and where was she? I forgot where she said she was at once she was buying. Anyway, they wouldn't take a check. They don't take checks, only cards and paper. And my mom said she says, "Let me look in my wallet and see if I have enough money," because it was like $83. And she had money and she paid for it. And she says, "More people are getting where they don't take checks." And I said, "Mom, you need to go. You need to stop on the way. Your next trip out, because the bank she banks with is at the entrance to
Yeah,
their
get a debit
subdivision."
card.
I said, "You need to stop and get you a debit card." And I said, "You don't need to be carrying around hundreds of dollars in cash." So she said, "Well, I will." I said, "You've been talking about it for a while now. Do I need to come down there and get you, take you to the bank to get you a debit card?" But she pays all her bills by check.
I think
She
it's
probably
here. I
keeps the
just saw
she
this.
probably keeps the postal service in operation because of her bill paying in. If
Maybe it's nationwide, but there's a thing in Kentucky now where like crystals and maybe like rallies and stuff, which I don't eat at rallies anyway. They're not going to take cash anymore. It's going to have to all be card.
well,
Tara will give me a check to go pay something like an auction thing or something, an auction pickup, because they charge you. They charge you like 3-4%.
3%
Yeah,
for
depending. Some of them are 4 or 5. But anyway, they charge you to pay with a card, so she pays it with a check. But I'll go there to pick the stuff up, and I got to write the stuff in on the check. I mean, I used to write checks all the time, but I mean, that's the only time I write a check. So sometimes it's like I'm looking on that thing where what line I put what or whatever. It's because I haven't done
Jim
it.
doesn't even have a checkbook in his
I haven't
position.
had
It's
check.
like, oh, give me the checkbook, Tara. Okay.
well, isn't that the way it is with everybody?
Hmm. Have you ever
I
watched
mean,
the movie? Have you ever watched the movie Fargo? I love
no.
that movie. Anyway, there's a scene where they're buying the car and they're pissed at the. Just give me the check, mother. So she brings it out of her purse and hands it to him so he can write it out. Anyway,
If
Was it
if
clear coat?
yeah.
Felix if Felix had to give his wives a checkbook, he'd have 8 checkbooks floating around. He'd never know how much he's got in the bank.
Honestly, like we get like at least 2 or 3 like with our checking account plan, like
Right.
refills of checks in a year. I don't even use them all. I mean, like
It's the only place
we've
we use
lived here
auctions.
4 years, and I've only had to order checks once because I don't hardly use checks. Anyway,
If the auctioneers didn't charge the extra for for using the debit card, we'd use the debit card for that too.
Well,
I mean, who the hell wants to be writing checks?
nobody wants to use cash anyway because the processing on it. A store at the end of the day, they have to, if they've got people that can actually give change, they've got to sit down and they've got to balance out all the cash they have.
Oh yeah.
And then they take it to the bank, and the bank they have to balance it again. And then they have to balance out their vault. And then it goes to the Fed. And then they have to balance it out, all the banks, branches, deposits, and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot of effort for people. That's the reason they don't want people going to a cash-based, because um,
um, we have a little IGA store in our town
mhm,
that you can write out a check to. But it's so funny because when you go in this IGA, it's like going back to 1982. They have like the phones at the register. They do have credit card scanners, but the
okay,
phones at the register,
thank
they're
you.
not rotary phones, but they're those phones that are push button wall phones, but they kind of look like a rotary phone, but they, where they switch to push buttons. It's like going back to like 1984 in it. It's
Well,
really it's really funky. They got like the old timey like belt, register and stuff like
right.
that. Other than they do have a computerized cash register and a card reader. It's like going back in time.
Yeah, they still have some of those big stainless steel. They have the big old floor thing. You can tell all this stuff's like from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, it's funny.
Well, my lovely
I like
bride is
going in it because it reminds me of when I was a kid.
my lovely bride has got to get on a phone call.
All
So
right, we better let her Roberta go to work and earn some
yeah, I
money.
gotta get off. She's got to bitch at somebody or something
You know
for
what
being
else it is?
stupid.
The ceilings are low.
Mm.
So y'all have a great day. Tara, Jim, thank you for coming in. Everybody in the audience, thank you for coming in.
All right, we'll find somebody for Monday because you won't see me on Monday.
I will. Anissa, your Starlink must
Make
still be
some.
working.
I go over the farm. I go do that horse stuff on Monday, so
Your
you won't see
Starlink must
me.
still be
So
working
one
good
of
because you've
y'all
been in
in
here
this
all the
chat
time.
has to come on and help Tom, because Todd will not be back yet.
So y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
All right, bye.
Bye.